How you doing? It's your boy, Alfred Simon. I'm here to teach you about communication. So you have to understand about communication because communication, we do it in all walks of life. If you're not good at communication, how are you going to talk to people? I mean, it's just that simple. You got to be able to communicate with somebody. If somebody comes to you, if you don't know the right way to communicate, you can lose an opportunity. You can lose business proposals. You can lose money. Really, that's the main thing. And you can lose relationships. Communication is essential to our everyday life, and I want to teach you how to communicate today. Take a journey with me. Let's walk. Communication crossing borders. Today we're going to be crossing cultural, racial, gender, and socioeconomic lines in communication. But before we get into all of that and all the specifics, let's start off with what is communication. You got to know what communication is before you can start communicating to people. So, communication is the act or process of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express or exchange information or to express your ideas, thoughts, feelings, etc. to someone else. A message that is given to someone, a letter, telephone call, etc. So communication is the process of me using my words, my sounds, my behaviors, my information. It's me communicating my thoughts, my ideas, my feelings to someone else. And it's me communicating or processing that through myself to someone else in the best way possible. And if not processed in the best way or not communicated in the best way, then they won't do it in the best way of receiving it. And so we have to know how to communicate. Who communicates? Everybody thinks, oh, just the pastor communicates, oh, just the politicians communicate, or oh, just the teacher communicates. But truthfully, everyone communicates. I don't care. You can be the shyest person in the world and you communicate. You don't understand how many people you impact on a daily basis just through the small communication that you do. Because communications is not just your words, but it's your actions. And that's where a lot of people get communication mixed up. They feel like it's just their words. And so they say the right words but have the wrong actions behind it. Or they say the wrong words but have the right actions, and different, and vice versa. It's all of these different things adding together, my emotions, my feelings, my mental state, all of these things coming together to allow me to communicate what it is that I'm trying to say in the correct way. And so we have to know that everyone communicates regardless of mental, physical, or emotional impairments. Even the lame man without legs communicates. The person with mental impairments, they communicate. Everyone communicates regardless of race, religion, gender, or socioeconomic background. Everything communicates. That includes animals, insects, and even plants. Communication is universal. Universal. Communication is something that everything and everyone does at all times. It's something that never stops. It's something that is constantly going. And it's something that we do on an everyday basis. And we need to get better at it. Keep walking with me. But let's just look at a few things on how to communicate. See, now this is where it's kind of going to get kind of slow because now I got to go through all these little steps on how to communicate. But it's okay. Keep walking with me. I want to get to the fun stuff soon enough. So how to communicate. For healthy communication, I want you to try this. Find the right time. If something is bothering you and you would like to have a serious conversation about it, make sure you pick the right time to talk. If you don't pick the right time, it's not going to be a good thing. You cannot talk about the baby you're about to have at a funeral. Not the right place. And so you have to pick the right time to communicate. You can't talk about you getting a new house when your friend just lost their house. Not the best time to communicate. But we're going to do better at learning the timings on communication. You need to talk face to face in communication. That's the best type of communication. You can talk over a phone, but nobody can see your body language. You can be expressing really how you feel, and you can say you're okay, but on the inside, and you're really, like rolling your eyes at them. But they would never know. Your boyfriend would never know that you're mad because he really can't see your face, and so he's just taking what you said. You said that you were okay, so he's believing that you're okay. But the truth is, you're not. You need to communicate face to face, especially when it's important conversations. Do not attack people. In communication, a lot of times, and I know it's sometimes hard, especially when people are not being very smart, but it's not the best way to do things in attacking somebody. Don't attack people. It's not nice, and it's not the best way to communicate. When attacking someone, all you're doing is opening yourself back up for attacks. And then you're going to keep attacking, and then it's going to turn into an argument. And arguments never go anywhere. They just end you back up in the same round table process. You keep going back and forth. You never really process through the communication or through the conversation because you're arguing. You go back and forth. Be honest. Don't lie. Don't be a liar. Don't lie. Don't be a liar. Please don't be a liar. Don't lie. Be honest in your communication. I said that about 5 or 6 times because I need you to understand. Lying is never a good way to go in communication. I understand that it might be hard. I understand that it might not be the best way to say it. But anytime you start lying, all it's going to do is lead to more lying and more lying and more lying. And then you're going to end up getting caught up in your lie. Be honest. That's all you got to do. Check your body language. If your body language is off, the rest of your conversation is going to be off. Because if you're saying I love you, but you're like this, I love you, that means you probably don't love that person that much. People watch body language. Make sure your body language is off. And I know sometimes, it's unintentional, our body language, because we're shy. And so we pull away even though we're really meaning what we're saying. And so we have to really watch our body language. Use the 48-hour rule. Communicate within 48 hours and try to respond to somebody within that amount of time, whether it's through text messages or whether it's through voicemail, or email. Try to respond within 48 hours. Don't leave the person waiting. You never want to let someone feel like you don't care or you're not interested in what they're talking about. Try to respond in 48 hours, at least on the good conversations. How to communicate part 2. Organize and clarify ideas in your mind. This should be done before you attempt to communicate any ideas. If you are feeling passionate about a topic, your ideas may become garbled if you haven't already targeted some key points to stick with when you're communicating. Key points will act as anchors, bringing focus and clarity to your communication. You always want to make sure that your communication is spot on. You never want to be jumbled up in your communication, especially when you're trying to communicate something that you feel very, earnestly about. Like me, I'm a preacher. When I'm talking about Christ, when I'm in the church preaching in my sermon, I don't want to be all over the place. I want you to understand exactly what I'm saying and get it down in your spirit and down in your heart and down in your mind. I don't want you to miss anything that I'm saying. And so I have to be straight on, right on point. I can't be all over the place or no one's going to receive. Just like that in your communication, especially when you're communicating things that you're really serious about, try to be spot on in your communication. Don't try to go everywhere. Don't try to be everywhere because, when it's something that you really love, your mind goes to 50 different places because you get so excited and so worked up over what it is you're talking about, and then you communicated good points, but you lost everybody because you didn't stay on topic. Stay on topic. Stay on key. Be crystal clear. Make it clear what you're hoping to convey from the outset. For example, your purpose could be to inform others to obtain information or initiate action. If people know in advance what you expect from the communication, things will go more smoothly. Let people know what you want. Let them know what you're expecting. Let them know why you're communicating this information to them. It'll make the communication go a lot smoother and the conversation go a lot better. Stay on topic. That speaks for itself. Once you start to convey your 3 main points, make sure everything you're saying adds to the message you intend to communicate. Don't stray off from your topic, please. Because when you start adding little, side stories about what your uncle and your auntie did and all this mess, it starts confusing people. Stay on topic. Especially preachers. Stay on topic. Don't go off into side stories. It messes up your sermon and messes up your message. Stay on topic. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, listeners. Thank the person or group for the time taken to listen and respond. No matter what the outcome of your communication, even if the response to your talk or discussion has been other than you had hoped for, end it politely by properly respecting everyone's input and time. Make sure you're nice to people. That's going to be a main point that you're going to hear a lot in this little time that we're talking together. But make sure you're nice. Niceness goes a long way. Just be polite. Now, let's talk about what we came to talk about. Communicating across boundary lines. See, now this is where it's going to get deep. So you got to follow me. When communicating across lines, you have to be informed of your audience to know the best approach. Know who your audience is. Know who you're talking to. Do a background check before you go somewhere and speak. Don't just go to somewhere and speak and don't know what audience you're speaking to, because you might come really unprepared. Each boundary needs a different approach and a different attitude when approaching that crowd of people. You have to be not only self-aware, but socially aware also. So let's continue this journey on communication. So let's talk about how to communicate across racial boundaries. See, this is a topic that is very touchy to some people, but we want to hit it because we want to make sure that you know the right way to communicate and the right way to communicate effectively. So let's talk about how to communicate across racial boundaries. Remember, don't be judgmental when speaking to a specific race. Not all blacks are thugs, not all Hispanics are illegals, and not all whites are rednecks and hillbillies. That's not nice. Get rid of your judgments. Don't bring them into the room, especially not when you're communicating to that group of people. These are stigmas that you have to make sure you break in your mind so that you will not go in speaking to a certain race with preconceived notions. How to communicate across racial boundaries. Number 2, learn about that race and what they like and what they do not like. You need to know how to communicate effectively so you can figure out what they like. What makes them tick, what makes them laugh, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, things of that nature. Know their struggles and past, but never relate struggles. Just because I know your struggle doesn't mean I want to relate my struggle to yours. You always want to let that race have its specific struggles to itself. You don't want to try to compare it to some other race's struggles, because then that causes confusion. They might not like that. And so let their struggle be, their struggle was unique to them. Every struggle in every race is unique. Let their struggle be theirs. Be aware that you have many different backgrounds, which may mean you need to research their belief system. Their belief system might not be the same as yours. You might have grown up in a Catholic background, and I know a lot of African Americans are Christians, and Christian and Catholic have a little bit of different denominational differences. So, you want to make sure that you research their belief system before you go and talk to them and speak to them. That's a very big thing that you need to make sure that you really get down. Know what they believe, know what they like, know how they feel about certain things. And this is one thing I said we're going to hit on a lot, is just be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Just be nice. Now let's talk about how to communicate across cultural boundaries. Now it's going to have a few things that's overlapping here, but it's all because communication is a little bit the same in areas, but then there's specific things that you need to get down and know how to communicate effectively over all regions. And so let's talk about how to communicate effectively across cultural boundaries. Cultures are very unique in that they contain different races and religions, and yet still be one set of people. So when communicating with them, you have to be very aware and diverse. Remember, just because they all are from the same country and culture doesn't mean they all believe, act, or think the same way. See, communicating across cultural boundaries is a very touchy thing, because it can be one culture with a whole bunch of different beliefs in it, or one culture with a whole bunch of different mindsets in it, or one culture with a whole bunch of different races in it. Culture is not race. A culture is a set of people with the same belief that are from the same area. America has an American culture. We are all in the same culture, but we all have the same beliefs, and we're very diverse in everything that we do. And so when communicating across cultural boundaries, study that culture. Know its greatest triumphs and its greatest downfalls. When communicating to people of the same culture or to a cultural people, you want to make sure that you know their triumphs. Know what makes them happy. Know what their culture has overcome that they can relate to. And then know their culture's downfalls. Know what their culture has went through. Try to be relatable to their triumphs and their downfalls, their ups and their downs, their goods and their bads. Be aware that their life may be very different from yours. So try to stay away from your life and focus more on their experiences as a people. Learn a little of their style of talking and way of speaking so that the communication process will be easier for them, and it will be a great way to make them feel a connection to you and what you are saying. And again, just be nice. That's one of the main things I want to keep hitting on. It's very important. Now let's talk about how to communicate across gender boundaries. Now here, this is where you get a little bit tricky because I know that women can be a little hard to talk to sometimes. But it's okay. I have a wife and I love her very much. So when communicating to another gender, honestly, it depends on your gender and what gender you are communicating to. You cannot communicate to males and females in the same way, especially depending on the topic you are talking about. You have to be very, very careful on how to communicate certain things because different genders take it different ways. So let's talk about communicating across gender boundaries to males. So when communicating to males, you have to make sure you grab their attention because men are easily distracted. I know. I'm a man. We're very easily distracted. Also, you have to make sure you are confident because men can almost smell fear and insecurity. You have to know what you are talking about because of the competitiveness of men. They will challenge what you say unintentionally. If you're wrong on something and we know that you're wrong on it and we know the right answer, we'll challenge you. Not meanly, but just because that's who men are. We're very competitive, very competitive. Just be nice. It really takes you a long way. At the end of the day, whether you're man, woman, male, female, black, white, culture, being nice is the most important thing because niceness will take you further than anything. So let's talk about communicating across gender boundaries to females. When communicating to females, remember to try and not show that you are making a difference because they want to feel that they are equal. You always want to make sure that you're not making a difference between males and females because you want them to know that they're the same. They're not lower than, but they're equals. You never want to make them feel lower than or less than. Remember to be a little more sensitive. Whether women admit it or not, they are more sensitive and emotional. Be aware of this during communication. Women are more sensitive. I know a lot of women might say they're not, but I have a wife. Women are more sensitive and emotional than men. And so it's very, very, very critical, especially if you're a male and you're communicating to a female. You want to make sure that you're very aware of their emotions, their feelings, and, that you come off in the right way. And give them a voice. Let them have time to express their opinions and views. And again, guess what? Just be nice. Now, let's talk about how to communicate across socioeconomic backgrounds and boundaries. This might be the most difficult for people, especially if you have been either rich all your life or poor all your life, because it's hard to effectively connect with them through background things. And so this is why here you have to stay away from life experiences and backgrounds and go more of a route that everyone can relate to. Remember to find something that everyone can connect to. Instead of talking about your life, talk about events that everyone went through, like 9/11. It's something that we all endured, whether rich or poor, black or white. It was a hard time for everybody. But it's an event that everybody can relate to. Try to find common ground. Maybe even though you have different socioeconomic standings, there's something that you might have in common. Liking men, liking women, heck, liking steak. I like steak. You might have that in common. So try to find something that you can all relate to. Don't be intimidated. Don't allow them being richer or poorer than you to dictate how you communicate to them. They're human beings. I'm a human being. We're all the same, really. We just got a little bit more money or a little less money. Don't be intimidated by people. And again, just be nice.